Welcome. This is the African Clay Girl podcast, and here we talk about all things clay. This is my very first clay podcast, and I'm really excited because there's so many things that needs to be told about clay and the addiction that we have, of clay and all that stuff. So there is so much information I want to share on this podcast. There's so many things I want to hear from you guys as well. So this is a new thing, and I'm really excited to grow this podcast on my channel. So welcome again. All right. So without further ado, today's topic is why is clay so addictive? So I'm just gonna like wing it here. So in my opinion, to me, why clay is addictive is the fact that it's very relaxing for me. It has a relaxing taste, relaxing sound, and it just tastes so good, which is really like I would like to know the scientific reason for that, but it just really tastes good. So that's why I'm addicted to clay. So if you're addicted to clay, please tell me in the comment section below, why is clay so addictive to you? Like, why do you eat clay? All right. Another thing that I would say why clay is so addictive is that it's a stress reliever. People don't understand that there's something about the sound when you crunch clay. I don't know why, but it just helps. I don't know, it helps you take your mind off things for a minute. It's like when you go away, when you just want to have like time to yourself and you play music, and how that's so relaxing, like you're just having that me time with you and your music. That's how clay is. Like, it's that, you know as that thing that comforts you, that thing that you want to go somewhere where you're not disturbed by other people, and you just have your clay, and it's just so soothing and relaxing. It's stress relieving. So clay people, maybe they can relate, maybe they can, but that's my experience with clay as well. Another reason why I would say clay is so addictive, that smell, like especially when you were a child, when you grew up, and that rainy smell that you smell when uh on a rainy day, right? When the ground is wet, and that smell that comes off from the sand. And then it's so similar to the smell that when you eat clay, you just have that weird rainy season sand smell. I don't know why that's so, but there's this certain distinct smell that clay has that reminds me, especially of my childhood, about soil and all that stuff. It has this refreshing, fresh taste, and I don't know, maybe that could be another reason that people are so addicted to it, because it has really good scent, and it has good memories with that scent, and it helps, I don't know, it helps bring you back to that center of thought, if that even makes sense. So clay has this earthly taste that can be deliciously weird. Um, there's this thing, like when I eat maybe a hamburger, when I go and have a takeout somewhere and eat a hamburger, there's this weird taste that it leaves in my mouth. And I've noticed that when I maybe after a meal, when I just have a bit of clay, just a hint of it, it just kind of balances the taste in my mouth. It just neutralizes everything, because there's sometimes where you eat something so bad and you feel like maybe throwing up or puking or whatever it is that you feel. And if you just have a hint of clay in your mouth, I don't know why, but it's like it absorbs things that maybe make you want to feel sick or something. It just helps to neutralize bad taste in your mouth. And that's something that I really, really am grateful for clay, because I don't want to have a sweet after I have a burger. You know that thing where you have a bad taste in your mouth and you supplement it maybe with a mint or a gum or something. And somehow clay just dissolves all that. Like you just have it, and it doesn't have much of a taste, but it just helps neutralize everything and bring you back to normal. But the bad side of it is that, I don't want to have a habit of eating it when I'm in public because it does stain your mouth. And sometimes it's hard to notice how bad the mouth has been stained by clay. So it's always good to like kind of eat it where you can always, go to the restroom and rinse your mouth and stuff like that. So, there's just ways that you gotta eat it. But yeah, it's quite addictive. There's one thing that I've noticed also about clay is that everyone has a personal story of how they started eating clay, right? And you should see when women come together and tell their stories of how did you start eating clay? How did you start eating clay? For me, I remember seeing one of these girls in my neighborhood when I was growing up. She was eating it, and then she was very quite older than me because I was still a young child by then. Uh, Probably in primary school, and she was already like almost leaving high school. So I asked her what was she eating. She was eating a stone. To me, it looked like a stone. So I was like, "Why are you eating that? What's that?" Stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh no, this is clay. Women eat stuff like this and stuff like that." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And then I let it go. And then one day I saw a woman selling something similar to what I saw that girl eating. So I decided, okay, you know what? By then I was in like high school. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try it for myself. I tried it for the first time. It was disgusting. It was weird. It was sticky. It was just like, okay, I don't know why that girl liked this, but it was weirdly sticky. And then, okay, fine. The next day I tried it again. And I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna enjoy crunching it because that was the first thing that I actually liked about it. That it was crunchy. It didn't have too many tastes and too many, yeah, weird tastes about it. It's just one distinct smell, distinct taste that it has to it, like that rainy taste to it. So that's why I liked to eat it. So I enjoyed crunching it, and I realized that I didn't enjoy swallowing it. It just tasted lumpy when you swallow it. It's like the whole purpose of me wanting to eat it. When I end up swallowing it, it just doesn't taste good. It tasted way too thick when you swallow it. It was just nasty. So I was like, you know what? I think for me, it's better to just crunch it and spit it out as when it's done, because that's what I like about it. I don't like muddy stuff. I don't like swallowing mud. I don't like that because that's how it ends up feeling in your mouth, like feeling like a whole lump of mud in your mouth. So from then onwards, I was like, okay, okay. And I never really enjoyed swallowing it. So until maybe I was a bit older, probably in university years, older now. And then I started trying to swallow it, but I couldn't do it in like big sums of, yeah, I could only do maybe a piece and I'll try and swallow it. Still didn't taste good, but yeah, that's my journey. Just gets to be a long story. So that's my introduction to clay. Today as it stands, I love crunching it. I just don't like swallowing it. It just doesn't feel good when you swallow it, and I feel like your body knows how to tell you when you've had enough. Especially if you like swallowing it a lot, like you can tell when you've like reached a certain limit, and too much of everything is not a good thing. So I do encourage, like, if you're so addicted to clay that you can't stop, I feel like a good way to avoid swallowing, just spit it out. Just enjoy the crunch, enjoy the flavors in the mouth, and then throw it out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Rinse your mouth, throw it out. And I feel like that's a really good way to balance an addiction like clay. So you're preventing a lot of health risks by spitting it out. You're avoiding complications, you're avoiding skin infections and all that stuff. You're avoiding a lot of things if you don't swallow it, if you know you can't stop, because it's easy to just tell someone stop, but if you're the one addicted, that's not going to help you, right? So that may be a nice adjustment to clay addiction. I don't know. Tell me in the comments below what you think, if that's good advice, or yeah, what your opinion is. So I've mentioned all the things that I could think of at the top of my head that why clay is so addictive. And I want to speak also on the bad things that come from clay addiction, because it's nice to say all these things, all these amazing things that it brings out of us, the relaxing, the stress relieving, all these amazing things that it does for us. And on the other side, clay can be dangerous to the body because it's abnormal, it's abnormal to eat so much of clay, because I hear like sometimes in clay groups that that I've subscribed to, people talking about they probably eat maybe 5 packs in a day, or they finished 1 pack in a day, or they eat this much, that much. And part of me hurts for them, because at the end of the day, yes, it's an amazing addiction. I mean, I love clay, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to know when and how to manage your addiction, because it could be okay, it could end in a really bad situation for yourself. There are a lot of health complications that do come, with clay addiction. um so I'm just going to name a few that I know of. You could, have skin irritations, and sometimes people end up scratching their faces, scratching all these sores that come out of clay. But at the end of the day, not realizing that these are toxins coming out of your body. So obviously they're going to show up in your skin, So that's your body's other way of telling you maybe that's a little too much of clay you're eating, or maybe you need to tone back on the clay intake. So your body will always tell you when you've overdone something. That's one thing I've noticed when it comes to clay, or anything, in fact. Like, too much of everything is not good. So skin irritation is the first one. Kidney stones, because remember, you're a human being. Your body cannot take that much of clay every single day, So you have to know your limits. You have to train yourself, you know. You have to train yourself, right? To not over abuse clay. It's okay to treat yourself here and there, but now going over and above and beyond. And here's the thing I've noticed with clay: you don't realize you're going too far until you realize, oh, snap, I actually finished like maybe 5 or 10 packs in one go. I think when you see yourself doing something like that, I think that's when you have to hold yourself accountable. Like, that guilt that you feel after you've just literally grazed through 10 packs is something that should make you say, okay, stop. Now we have to know how to limit this. So maybe you can start by maybe putting maybe 2 small stones in your pocket. And if you feel like the urge and the addiction is like pulling you in that moment, just have a bit of a bite. But you don't want to take the whole pack with you, because that's when you may lie to yourself and say, you know what, let me just take maybe one piece. One piece turns into 2 pieces. 2 pieces turns into 3. And then the next thing you know, you finished another packet. So when you always just remember, when you always find yourself feeling guilty, knowing that you've eaten more than you should, I think that's when you need to kind of give yourself, the pep talk, the girl, you going too far. So yeah, kidney stones. How can I say this? Constipation. That's the worst thing you ever want to feel, because that's not normal to constantly have constipation almost every single day or every single week. You need to give yourself a break. Already your body is also being strained because of that constipation. So another thing, you don't want to eat clay on an empty stomach. I've done that before. Not a good thing. And like I said, always remember to take the guilt serious, because that guilt, already that's your body or your mind telling you you've gone overboard, right? So another bad thing, you don't want to take clay on an empty stomach, because that could actually also cause a bit of constipation in your belly, and you don't want that, right? So I think sometimes we get so addicted to clay that we forget to eat. So that becomes the morning thing, the first thing you grab when you wake up. So I think having a healthy lifestyle will also make you slow down and tone down on the clay intake, right? Because you're more concerned of, okay, I need a healthy meal in the morning, I need like a healthy exercise life, whenever time you exercise during the day. Like those kind of things take your mind off to the point where by the time you think about clay, it's like, oh, okay, and then you take a bit of it, and then keep it moving. So this is also psychological, like if you really think about it. Like, so always occupying your mind with just healthy stuff, right, will actually help reduce the craving and the out of order eating, right? So knowing how to manage your lifestyle is a good thing. Another bad thing that clay can do, I've seen this, I think it actually increases anemia, right? A lot of people say that it's good for iron and all that stuff. I don't think so, because why would it give you anemia if it's good with iron, right? So I don't think it has that many health benefits. So I don't think that's something that you should like rely on. So having anemia, especially for women, sorry, especially for women, that's a really bad thing because that could actually kill you. So you always want to make sure that you keep your blood levels good, you keep your iron level good. Um, Make sure clay is not your go-to for iron, because it's not an iron supplement, right? So always make sure you take your iron supplements. You take I'm gonna have to write a list actually on the description below on the things, the supplements that you need to take just to keep your body regular. And also it also does help diminish the cravings for clay as well. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna do more research about this since this is the first episode, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that for today. But there's so many things that need to be said about clay, and if you feel like you definitely want to give, your point of view, you want to give your side of your side of your clay addiction story and all that stuff, you want to collaborate with African Clay Podcast, please do send me an email on africanclaygirl@gmail.com. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching this podcast till the end, for listening to me, and please do leave your comments below about things that we can talk about, things that we can learn from each other, and we will continue on this journey. So see you guys on the next episode. Bye guys.